Okay, I did. Survival might be doable now. Go to there. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. 100% training chance is good. 9 out of 20, Benty. Let's see if I can actually succeed this time. I'm just seeing people get success using these 3 units. Took me a while to get all of them. Should work now. That's wild. That's working way more effectively than I thought it would. Ladies man probably needs to be on. No. I just wanted to set you, so you would go to a normal number. Works well enough, I guess. You technically in the buff range? Nope. Huh. Interesting. Oh yeah, that's right. I can't use abilities on this. Come on. Yes. I just really didn't think that was going to work out. Bum, 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 bum. me casually joking on air. Nice. Let's see what this unit's all about. Survival shop. Mage's Manor Legend stage. $30K. Man, I gotta get more anyway. Let's roll his stats. Ah, there we go. That's good enough. Seems I'm out of glitch potions. Honestly, I kind of feel like he should have ended up as a godly. Because his whole ability was Return by Death, which was pretty overpowered. I mean, granted, he still had to suffer through the millions of deaths involved, but I mean, I feel like it could have been a cool godly where he just has like a, I don't know, a tactical buff that increases SPA, reactive time, kind of like when he went back over and over again. But he wasn't necessarily getting better, he was just reacting to what he knew was already going to happen. So I feel like that should be his ability should just be he naturally gives everybody better SPA, and then just made him a godly that just like a godly support unit. I don't know. It would be cool though, because I feel like he's a bit of an important person in that regard. Because he's a protagonist, and I feel like most of the protagonists should be made into godly units. I'm hoping to get something good on him because I did just spend like over 1,000. Might be fruitless. Well, that sucks. Oh, at least it's something. The numbers in this game for players seems to be dropping the longer it's out. Not that it's like bad game, it's just people are running out of things to do, and then it's starting to get repetitive. Like I mean, like all tower defense games are repetitive, but I feel like the once you get one really goated godly, then the other godlies kind of become a little bit obsolete. And then right now, I don't even use most of any of the godlies right now because I've been using the brokenness that is the domination devil. I know part of the reason why games go like this go downhill is when they implement trading. Trading kind of kills it because new players are spending lots of their real life money to do trades with people that are like high in the game and stuff, which I guess it's like whatever, it's a function, but it's still like a function that kills these types of games. When you get confused about how this works, is Grummy essentially his first version gets the highest buff out of all of them. It hits him all the way up to about a billion because he gains stats based off of the all the extra placements that you make of him. Eventually, when he does enough damage, you can place all the way up to 12 of him. Then, after a certain threshold, it'll increase up to 24 placements because he'll start cloning himself. The more entities you have in her control range, the higher she increases everybody else's stats, aka big number. Big number will keep consequently increasing if you have Soul of Intimidation because of the passive, where it's 8% more damage all sources when you have enemies in range. But because it's a permanent 8% increase and it keeps re-triggering as enemies come through, you also start increasing the standard buff that she already had from her passive, which leads to infinitely increasing their stats by 8% plus whatever her number is over and over again. Then you can take advantage of Lady's Man, who applies the wife status to all the other units, and then it causes the damage to fluctuate, which means that there's more procs for the permanent bonuses, meaning that every now and again your damage goes up to like 100 and something 100,000% more, and then it just keeps going. Although if you really want to break the game, you could infinitely scale damage to literally the a null number that it actually crashes the game by placing two Domination Devils against each other when they already have Soul of Intimidation on at least one of them. Makes the stats rise exponentially until it reaches null. And then it makes the entities go negative in HP, ending the game. You don't want that, so if you just sell one before that happens, then you end up with a unit with like a quadrillion damage. Literally a literal quintillion damage. Because it actually puts it to the point that it has to put on the screen e to the power of 268 or something like that. It reaches a threshold where the number can't be displayed. Also, since units are entirely all based off her attack speed, once the wife stat lowers her SPA below 1 second, like it'll actually decrease it all the way to 1 second attack speed. All units will attack identical time to her, so everything will be attacking at 1 second speed. So it's really overpowered. So you end up with units doing about a billion a second per unit to 2 billion a second per unit. But because of the stats, you know that's obviously going to be way higher. She applies exposed, which is 100% more damage, and then effective spare, which is another 20% more damage. Units attack fear for all, causes fear, which means more dark element, 15% more damage, since most of these. So she's a dark unit, he's a light unit, he's a dark unit. You'll be seeing more damage from these summons. as you can see, that's gotten all the way up to 115,000% more damage. And it's just going to keep increasing the more the procs happen. As you can see, I now have 20, on average, 24 units inside of her range all the time. And because the clones keep happening, her damage is going to keep increasing. Because it permanently boosts due to the clones, and so it's just going to keep fluctuating until it gets flat permanent increase. So its lowest number and highest number of fluctuation will keep going up, which is entertaining, I guess, for the most part. Technically, you could swap these two placements, put Wukong at your front for more boss damage, and then use his clothes, because his clothes damage are based off his damage, so the infinite increase to his damage will also affect his clones. Because they will always be a flat 75% of his damage, which means that whatever his damage is at during the bonuses, the amount of 75% of that is what they're going to be doing. But that's optional because this already does the job. I think it was 30,000. So I need to do 2 more. Technically this dude would have been way stronger had he actually used his power more properly, because in the show, his ability was imagination, essentially. And being a Quincy with the power of creating or using anything he wants within his imaginative state. He could have used a lot more than guns. Like floating guns and stuff is cool, but he could just imagine like something more than just firearms that fire like Quincy like the actual Raiatsu. Well, guns that fire Raiatsu is cool. They could have just he could have just invented like if you looked at him using his ability, it was essentially just a bunch of AKs, Glocks, N four N41s, M1 Grands. There was also standard issue assault rifles, Uzis, Glocks, everything you can really imagine that was like standard issue guns he was spawning in, and they were all firing and stuff, and it was a little bit cool because it was like, oh yeah, America. But I also thought like, because that was the whole joke. I think that was supposed to be coming from it because he was one of those, oh yeah, guns, a guns like an actual like enthusiastic gun person because he wasn't like the other Quincy's. And he kind of like he could have used his powers more creatively. He could have designed entire weapon structures to just cage enemies and then just crush them. And technically, in theory, but I know that it's also based off of the power to control the general amount of Raiatsu, and just having a higher quantity of Raiatsu would affect that. Because I know that other people could just influence it with their own. Because example, most of the because when he got into the fight, he basically just got overwhelmed by someone that could just use more refined techniques with Raihatsu, and their ability was simpler. Why overcomplicate it with a bunch of guns when he could have just simply, I don't know, just used his infinite creation to just create a blade, a single focused blade that is just made to cut through whatever's in front of him. That, like, I think it kind of limited it when he was just like, oh yeah, an extreme arsenal of floating basic guns. I mean, yeah, that's cool, but you could have just made a sword that just slashes through everything in its path. Just completely hyper condensed Raiatsu. You could have just been like, oh yeah, I'm gonna imagine a version of Raiatsu that's just hyper condensed, so I can just cut through the opponent's Raiatsu. Just ignore the whole them blocking it thing, just cutting through it entirely, just overwhelming it with sheer force and just refinement, using like creative simplicity rather than overly dramatic showmanship with the 90,000 guns he spawned in and just was firing like he had no ability to aim. That's also why I kind of like Ichigo in a simple sense, because he took the simplest form when it came to his Raiatsu. He was like, the dude was like, okay, he has overwhelming quantity of Raiatsu when he first got his Soul Reaper powers, and then he just like, oh, what if I just keep condensing it and converting it into just raw power, you know? And he just overwhelms his opponents with, I can swing harder than you can block. So Go Tensei Tensho, the big downward slash, when he just hit them with such a large and concentrated slash of Raiatsu, like actual like his actual energy, it just blew through opponents, and which is kind of just funny. Because like, oh, they had like the flower petals, which was just like overwhelming number of like essentially microsysm blades that were flying around under manipulation. And it's like, oh yeah, that's pretty, that's complex. It makes it really difficult for the opponent to dodge. But then he was just like, I'm just gonna go with simplicity, and I'm just gonna make it so hard for you to block that when he went to go launch the propelled extensive quantity of blades that he had, just these little rose petals that were essentially parts of his blade, his bankai, uh, he just like slashed right through it. Overwhelming force, overwhelming condensed force. He essentially was the unstoppable force versus a mobile object. It was kind of just theoretically what had the higher whether it was higher defensive power or just higher attack powers. He just pumped all of it into single strike power, which I thought that was kind of entertaining. Because it was like simplicity often wins more than over complexity of abilities. I don't know. So when I see like characters like this in a lot of tower defense games, where it's like the niche characters, I find it cool because they throw spins on them to make them more entertaining. Because this one was like they took his ability to create clones, but they didn't like make full use of his character design from the show. It was I don't know. I guess it's like an oversight because I don't feel like rigging all this. This is too much. Make him spawn guns or clones with guns, which is technically what he does now, but he doesn't have guns. And they could have easily factored it for like, okay, simple this down. Bonus damage on the next stack equals more clones. Just you could reduce half of this to for every 0.025% of enemy's HP within range. Add it add as damage to the next attack. Cap of that amount. On reaching cap, just when cap is reached, summon one clone for 5 attacks with 20% of original strength. You don't need to add the same element and random for one hit effects, because you could just simply just ignore that. That's just excess. Clones do not follow the dreamer cycle. You don't need that. That's just extra like 2 sentences that could just be removed. All of this is too wordy. It could have just been, instead of a line, circle, cone, ignore all that. Just put alternates between 4 different attacks, and then put the stats for each attack, and then just don't have all this extra shit. And then you could easily just put light, fire, bleed, burn. Simple. 1 lines for each different one, and then you could be like, okay, so I can apply these different effects for this damage values. And then it wouldn't be like this whole jumbled mess here where it's like element nature, element this, element water, element that. And it's like you have to write out the whole thing, and then it's like disorganized. Straight line, gray quotations. It can don't have what type or directional the attack is. Simplify that. Like seriously, simplify it. It's not going to be that hard to simplify. You don't need to tell people what the attack's going to look like, because they're going to see it. They're going to physically see it over here. Put the 4 attacks. Put the simple elements. Just put nature, fire, soak, or water, and then maybe burn, something like that. And then behind that, just keep it in a straight line, 30% crit and crit chance, or put the percentages. I don't know, it just looks so. I mean, it could have been cleaned up a little bit. I enjoy the game. I wish they would like rephrase or shorten things, simplify it for people. Like nobody wants to read that many. This is easy. This is simple to understand. This character, great. Uh, Simple, easy to read. Can apply pressure or despair. If you want to know what those are, oh, look at that. You can check over here. Absorb. Oh, look at that. Gains damage per boss it killed. Cool, simple. Every fifth hit, 5% max HP damage. Simple. This, that's too much to read. Also, for validity's sake, this guy takes about half an hour to get and evolve all the way. She takes about 2 hours, and this one it takes the longest because you just need a lot of coins for him and a lot of resources in general. If you already have them, not as long, but realistically, he takes like 3 hours to go get. But I feel like, you know, if I didn't have death and godlies, I wouldn't have been able to go grind for them. So I feel like if this is not supposed to be this high of a damage value, then and they go to fix it, that would be kind of sad. Because I mean, realistically, you do got to put in a lot of effort to go get it, and you can't get them until World 2 anyway. So it's not like they'd be in the wrong for getting rid of it. But also, I still would prefer if they kept this. And if it's meant to be implemented like this, then that's cool. I don't know. It should be easier to. Also, I feel like some of these godly quests are like a little bit much. It was super easy. Corto, I haven't even completed yet, but it's just me being lazy. I can easily go finish it. It took a while, like a couple days to get him. Johnny, haven't even bothered with. Some of these other units haven't even bothered with because it's just too much effort to go after. Wukong, it's a simple one. Boku Mastered is a little bit of effort. Uh, a lot of these units for the gain acquired from getting them, it's just not as equal to what their stats and values in general. Because you could just go after other godlies for less effort and easier time. Was it a Knight's Badge or a Family Crest? Knight's Badge. Alright, well, I just wanted to do a simple short stream to keep my promise of streaming today. I will probably stream some point tomorrow. Thank you whoever watches, and follow if you just want to watch someone play games. Kill time, that sort of thing. And anyone's welcome to join the gameplay too. Have a good one, everyone, and peace out. Join the meme squad. Thanks for watching.